Firstly, where were you when the explosion happened on the 4th?
I was at the office. This is some of the damage. You see it in the background. And I've seen a lot, as you can see with the gray hair. Basically, I was in Lebanon during the Civil War, during the 1982 invasion. Afterwards, I also covered several wars in the Middle East, from the first Gulf War, also some Israeli attacks, and also I was in Baghdad. I was running the Reuters team during the US-led invasion. I was also here in 2006 when we had the July War. So basically, I mean, the first thing was, we didn't know what it was. It was huge. We thought it was a car bomb at first, like everyone thought so. And, it just took me a couple of minutes to compose myself. I was slightly wounded in the knee, shrapnel from glass windows. But yeah, and then got on with the job, breaking the news and writing and filing and publishing stories on the website. Of course, you're at that moment you're worried about your loved ones, so quick phone calls just to make sure that everyone was okay, and thankfully they were. But yeah, it was a huge story, and we covered every angle.
And how was it difficult to just go straight out there and report?
No, I mean, the problem is, for many of my staff, it was the first big explosion that they've witnessed, and so yeah, most of them were in shock, and it took them time to overcome it. But we got our heads down and covered the story.
And could you see it from your office?
Not through a direct line. I mean, I wish I could, because then we would have known exactly what was going on. But it took us, probably 15 minutes to realize that it was at the port, and then as the night progressed, we were getting all sort of information about the details.
And was your house affected, or?
Just a broken window or two. We were lucky. We live in Raushi,
Okay.
you know the area, so it was a bit far, and it didn't take the brunt of the explosion. The office is much closer.
And the days immediately after the explosion, you just get on with everything, like groceries. How did it feel leaving your home to go to work and everything?
Yeah, I mean, the whole city the whole country, especially the city, it was in shock. But again, when you're used to these things, you adapt quickly, and that's what happened. It took us 2-3 days just to fix all the windows and to clear the rubble. We got people in to do that. So it was difficult, but we took it in our stride. As you know, newspapers around the world, they had a problem with the emergence of the internet and then the social media. So we already had a financial and economic problem in this field. Now, what has happened from the explosion in Lebanon, we have also a special case, as we have a deteriorating economy, so ad revenues dwindled. Now, with COVID and with the explosion, there are no advertisers. There is really no income. We had the Daily Star in February, before COVID and before the explosion. We had to stop our print edition because it was not viable. And I had hopes and plans to revive it somehow, but COVID came and then the explosion. So now it's very difficult. All media in Lebanon are struggling with that. And this also was accompanied by a dwindling of political money, because let's not kid ourselves, most of the media in Lebanon, they can't see, I mean, this is a very small market. For you to survive and to prosper, you need outside income, which unfortunately transforms itself in political money. And this has now even almost stopped to most media organizations. So the media is also really, really struggling. COVID and the explosion even, made things much worse for everyone. Many businesses are going out of business, are closing down. We have, capital controls imposed by the banks. That is also another key challenge. So yeah, things are bleak.
So whenever there's a problem in Lebanon, everyone sort of gets back up and gets over it and moves on. Would you say this time is different? Do you have any sense of hope for the future?
I mean, I still think, the civil war was the worst times and the most bleak times in Lebanon, which was also then, it was accompanied by a major financial crisis. You had the dollar was worth about £3. During the civil war, it spiked till £3,000. So it was even worse. Yeah, you don't know. And I tell my employees here, my staff here, that I worked at a bank. At first, I started working in 84. My salary was in 1,600 Lebanese pounds, which was $400. I went into journalism to go 3 years later. My last check from the bank, my last salary was worth $35. So we've lived through this. Yeah, so it is not the first time. Now, of course, now things are different, life is different. So it is very, very tough. Of course, I think it is the worst crisis since the Civil War. Do I have hope? Of course. I mean, we are very, people in Lebanon are very resilient. And I think that's part of the problem, because they learn how to adapt instead of rising up and changing things. But we're in for the long haul. I think it's gonna take time for things to start emerging. And the problem, as you know, the problem in Lebanon is also linked to regional issues, and these issues are getting more complicated. But eventually, we will survive.